Hearing the words is faithful, it felt like a voice whispering, I haven't left you, even when you can't feel me, because he's always there. He's always around us.
Can't see grace for what it is until you need it most. God feels so close to us in those moments.
The third hour is here. Holy Spirit appear. Guide us in all
Kind of, to me, proves like that God has knitted us together, like to glorify Him. Literally, with every breath that we take, even without us knowing it, we are glorifying God.
And glorify the risen Lord and King.
You want to have a closer relationship with Jesus, trying to be the best person you can be each and every day. That glorifies Him.
Holy Spirit, do your thing. We might not know how, but we ain't gonna feel.
Like, that is God sending us. That is how He feels for us. That is how He cares for us.
Move us today, Holy Spirit, come and fill this place. Move us today, Holy Spirit, come and fill this place.
Hey guys, before we get into this episode, I just wanted to let you know that if you want to check out any of the songs that we talk about today, the new Christian music songs for the week, or our hidden gems, as well as the Winter Jam 26 preview, go over to the Third Hour Collection on Spotify. And we have those already in a playlist for you. And the new songs will be updated weekly every Friday. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Third Hour. Guys, we're going to hit on some new songs this week, as well as recap the Ben Fuller and Christian Hohn concert that me and Chelsea went to last weekend. And we're going to hit on some Thanksgiving stuff, maybe some things we're thankful for, along with our favorite dish. And then we're also going to have Rusty's hidden gem. He's the only one of the members so far that hasn't got to share, so I'm super excited for that. But anyway, we're going to hop on over into the recap of Ben Fuller and Christian Hohn. Chelsea, I'll go ahead and I'll let you kind of start off with this real quick. And what was your reaction to Ben? And then let's just go ahead and talk on Ben, and we'll get to Christian Hohn in a second, because I think that's where we both kind of want to share a little more on.
Yeah, so this was actually my third time seeing Ben Fuller in concert, and it's never going to get old. I could go watch him 10 more times and I feel like I would feel the same way about him. He is just the most anointed singer when you're watching him. You just feel the spirit in him, and he's amazing. Do you want to talk about Ben, Cam?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate that this is that was the fourth time I've seen him in the last year, which is crazy. Not really intentionally seeking him every time. This concert we did, when we went for him, it was his Walk Through the Fire tour. And then when we went and saw Big Daddy Weave and him on tour, of course, during that one, he was there, but he didn't do but a few songs. And we did go there to see him that time as well. But we saw him at Faith Fest, and he was one of a huge group. And then Ignite, the men's conference where I first saw him at, I was going to the conference and he just happened to be there. But just like you said, he's just, when you listen to him and listen to him perform, listen to him talk, his testimony is just I don't know, it just blows you away. And he's the one artist, anyone that is just entering into their faith or even just having questions, maybe not a believer, but just having questions. He's the one I kind of point a lot of people to. He's just, I don't know. Not that I ever see two sides of people when it comes to artists, but in particular him, he's just he is who he is all the time. It seems like very authentic, and his songs are just, I don't know. Sometimes they don't sugarcoat the struggle. He really puts that out in the front, and we could have a whole separate discussion, like I said, on his testimony and just things like that. But again, great artist. That Walk Through the Fire album this year, I think, would be a contender for Album of the Year. I don't know if we end up doing something like that at the end. That'd be cool. Kind of like a third hour award show. But he would be up there. just to transition from that, going over into the opener, and you think it would be opposite. You think that we would probably go from the opener first, but we were both blown away by Christian Hahn. And so we want to take a second to acknowledge him. I let you guys know he's an up and coming artist, and we think that he could be a pretty big star in Christian music. I'm trying to remember his story. He'd been a worship leader for like 15 years, and music was not really his like job until he just, I don't know, he had a time of prayer, and he talked about it that night, just like asking, like sometimes just ask God, like the biggest thing you can think of. And not that he wouldn't have, I mean, he wouldn't have been disappointed if he didn't get there, but he just had, I don't know, he just had faith in him. And I want to say that I can't remember how he explained it. Maybe he felt like he needed to do that. But all that to the side, he ended up within like a few months of like having that time with God and in prayer with him, asking him that. He ended up in Nashville, like writing songs. And within like the next few months, Ben Fuller's team saw him on Instagram and messaged him and put him part of the tour. So
Yeah, Ben Fuller's guitar player, actually, his
yeah,
Christian on Instagram and messaged Kristen on Instagram.
yeah. And so I just wanted to highlight two of his songs and not to spend a lot of time on them so we can get to the new stuff. But one of them that really stuck with me, I think it's called like Shadowland, or maybe that was like,
We should
I can't,
probably, before you get into that, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We should probably let the viewers know he does not have released music right now.
yeah, I plan on.
So you can't really look these songs up right now. In the concert, he said that he would be releasing music the beginning of 2026.
Yes, and if you do want to hear samples of them, they are on Instagram. If you go and find his profile, this song in particular I was talking about, it's called Shadowland, I think. I just like it. It kind of puts you in the picture of understanding that, this broken world isn't your home. And, your home is there with him. And it kind of talks about how, like, this feels like a shadowland and we're destined to be somewhere else. It's beautiful. And one that I know me and you both got real emotional when we heard, it's called Pray Like a Kid. And he just talks about his little girl. And a line in the song talks about how sometimes we get busy and we go lay our kids down for bed. And sometimes we're just in such a big hurry. We lay them down. We're ready to just go back out the room and go, finish doing what we're doing, get ready for bed. And his girl will like stop him and be like, "Daddy, are we not supposed to pray?" And it's just a beautiful line in the song. But the song in general is just, it's great.
It brought me to tears.
Yeah, it did me as well. And then we got to talk to him afterwards. Super nice guy. I shared with him that the thing that stuck out to me the most about his songs were just that they were vulnerable. Like they showed like a very vulnerable side of someone. And I don't know that you see that a lot in music. Not just Christian music, but just in music in general. You might hear like a song or two, but like it seemed like all of his songs showed a very vulnerable side of him and kind of peeled back the curtain into his life and into his thoughts. So definitely like, keep an eye out for him, Christian Hahn, just like Chell said, early 2026 when he's going to start releasing an album or maybe just a few songs. I'm not sure, but that'll be here soon. You have anything else, Chels?
No, I mean, I just, like I said, I just really, really enjoyed his music. I really like the sound of his music. I don't really know how you would describe it, Cam. Would you describe him more towards like a pop sound, kind of?
I don't know.
I wouldn't call it pop.
I wouldn't say he's too far off from being in a way. I mean, besides, he just don't have like the same.
I would not say he had a country sound. I don't know. He was just very different. He was very different, but I really liked him.
All right. Well, that'll kind of wrap that up. Guys, go check him out. Check Ben Fuller out. Let us know what you think of both of them. Catch Ben and Christian on the Walk Through Fire tour. I know there's not a whole lot of tour dates out there, but I think you still have maybe like half the tour left. Great concert, and it's just when you go, you can feel the spirit. And the one thing that I like about Ben that I didn't mention, but he's the only artist I've seen do this, from the first song, he tells you that venue, and I don't know if he has to talk to the venue about doing this or what, because I don't see this with any other artist, but he's like, this venue is a church. He said at any point, come up here and this is like an altar in front of me. And people do. It's like the whole concert, people will come to the front, kneel down, like you're coming to an altar. They'll pray and they'll go back to their seat, but it's like throughout the whole concert. It's beautiful. And I know the Big Daddy Weave concert, he did that, and he was down like in there praying with people. So that's just unique, but that just shows you, just like I said, the atmosphere that's there. Transitioning over from that, we're going to go into the new songs, and we're going to bounce this around just like we have on the past few episodes. Each one of us probably have a few songs wrote down. We'll share a little bit about the artist and why that song meant something to us. Then after this, Chelsea will kind of run off a list of songs that we didn't mention, but that also came out this past week. And then we have Rusty's Hidden Gem. So we'll go ahead and start the first song. I want to bounce it over to you guys first, and we'll start it like that in the rotation because me and Chelsea's already talked a lot so far. So if you want to, either one of you can start and then just go to the other, and then we'll kick it back over to us.
First in my list is I have Hallelujah in the Hard Things by, don't know if I'm saying this correctly, Timmy Tope.
I always said
Timmy Tope.
Timmy
Timmy Tope.
Tope.
Timmy Tope.
Yeah.
Timmy Tope.
Let's see.
We've
Rest
think
talked
so.
about him before.
Yeah, he
On the
comes out with new
show.
songs
Have we?
pretty
Okay.
often.
Yeah. I don't know. This song, like, it just really spoke to me while we were listening to it. And from the look on y'all's faces, it seems like y'all probably really, really liked that song too. And it's just, I think to me, it was talking about, you know that you're going to praise the Lord on your good days and thanking Him for all that. But sometimes it's not as easy on those hard days. So I think this song just brought that to light.
Yeah, song was actually in my little list too, and he had a really great voice. Ain't gonna lie, at first I was like, "Is this AI?" Because like at first I was like,
Yeah.
"This is like almost too perfect." And then we looked it up, and he's actually a real artist. So yeah, he's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had this as my number one. I want to say a couple of the lines in the song, and it goes, "Hallelujah in hard things, you are my strength, find me in the heartache, blessing your name. Even when the whole world's not going my way, I can still say, Lord, I can still say hallelujah in the hard things." And I think, I've noticed in my life, if I'm going through something really hard, sometimes it's not so easy to worship and praise God. But if you're able to do it, if you can just push through it and do it, it changes everything. And I really related to this song and really liked it.
So the song that I want to talk about first on my list is Jesus is Love by Taryn. The vocals on this song are insane. That day I sent it to you guys, like as soon as it dropped, and I was like, man, her voice is just beautiful. And then for me, this song to me is like a call to action, and when I say that, it's like a call to action to love one another in a world that it seems like right now, but not just right now, really in the last 10 or so years has been really bad to just spread hate. In a point in civilization, like that you think that we've gotten so far, it feels like we've actually went back in terms of that. I think we need to do a better of a job at showing love to one another. And I had a few verses wrote down. In 1 John 4:8, it says, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. And then in John 15:12-13, Jesus said, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. And so I just think that this message, her song is a message to us to love one another and to understand that Jesus is love. And just to wrap it up with her, I meant to say this going into it, but Taryn, she's born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and some of you guys might remember her from being a former member of Toby Mac's Diverse City group, and she started that in 2017. That's kind of where she got her start, and even now she's in Memphis, and she's a mentor at Angel Street, and that is kind of a place where she mentors girls through musical training in areas with limited artistic opportunities. So she helps them, empowering girls to understand their value and discovering their purpose. But this song really stuck with me. I'll kick it over to you, Mariah.
Yeah, I just want to say I like that song as well. Like you said, the vocals were just beautiful. Another one that I had on my list was Know You by Woodlands Worship. And I just thought this song was beautiful. pioneering a fresh wave of worship music out of North Houston. Woodlands Worship is the creative arts ministry of one of the largest churches in America. Led by brothers Stephen and Josh Shook, Woodlands Worship officially launched its name in the worship music scene with the release of its debut album in 2019. The album was an immediate success across multiple platforms, with the single Maker reaching over 3 million streams on Spotify alone. Drawing inspiration from the body of believers within their home church, Woodlands Worship creates music that is both candid and sincere, not shying away from the reality of pain, questions, and even doubt in the midst of belief. They continue to seek honest out expressions of praise for the only one who can bring hope to a hurting world, Jesus. And I thought that this song actually did just that. In the beginning, it talked about, I wrote down some of the lyrics. It says, so many questions are spinning around in my head. Can I ask them? Sometimes I feel broken deep inside my heart. How can I be sure that where I'm at is where you are? I just want to find you. Are you there at all? I just want to be certain that you hear my call. I want to know you. I want to know you. And I think that just echoes something that we've all said multiple times. There are days when we know deep within our heart that we are saved. But then there's days that the enemy wants to creep in. He's like, well, do you remember that time that you did this? Can God really forgive you of that? And to know, this song was just to know Jesus is to know love, truthfully, and to know, faith is that he has covered all of that. And I just thought that this is a really beautiful way to just explain that to new believers. And it goes on as you develop that faith. So this one was a really good one.
That was actually one of mine too. But you said that
Okay.
you said it perfectly. You covered that really well.
Yeah, I did not have that song on my list, but I did have a song. My top song this week was a song called I Wonder What Jesus Thinks by Dalton Dover. And I'll get into some of his lyrics in just a second. I've got his bio from Spotify here. Lauded by Music Row as a master country talent. Dalton Dover's current single, Giving Up on That, via UMG Nashville Mercury Records, was the most added track at country radio upon its debut within the first 60 weeks, garnered over 1 million streams the first 2 weeks of release. Let's see. The Georgia native has opened up for Luke Combs and had supporting dates with Parker McCollum throughout the summer. Says he's done, a lot of covers on TikTok. It goes into just performing a lot of awards and stuff that he's kind of Dover was named a Spotify Hot Country 2022 Artist to Watch, along with a nod of Music Row's 2022 Discovery Artist of the Year. Doesn't really talk much about him, but I want to get into some of the lyrics that kind of, really hit me. It says, does he care about what we care about, the things we think we can't live without? Is he counting my prayers, counting on mamas, or counting my drinks? He's strong enough to wait long enough till we're wrong enough to get down on our knees. We're also sure what we believe, but I wonder what Jesus thinks. And, it really spoke to me because, a lot of times we look at other people's opinions on things and we have a lot of idols in our life. And sometimes we forget to sit down and think sit down and ask, what does Jesus think about these things? But we worry more about what the outside world, the image that we put out, what do they think? More so than what Jesus thinks. That, it really resonated with me because there's been times in my life where I didn't really stop and think, what does the Lord think about this? I care more about what other people's opinion on it is. So it really touched me, the one lyric in there, does he care about what we care about, the things we think we can't live without? And there's so many things that we think we can't live without, whether that's, material things, or we worry about whether or not, we're going to go to the grocery store for Thanksgiving's coming up. We think about, we got to get this, we got to get this. But in reality, we don't really need the majority of the things that we always seem that we're out pursuing. He always gives us what we need when we need it. So that's kind of what, where this song kind of led my brain when I was listening to it. I'm sure there's other people that probably feel differently, or they'll interpret it different than I did. That's just how
Yeah, I don't know if Chelsea has this on hers or not. I actually did not have it, mostly because I forgot about it. Because whenever I had to listen to it, I was like, man, I love that song. And I had planned on having it down and just, I guess, prepping and stuff. I forgot. But I did want to touch on it just briefly because I kind of interpreted it a different way. No, I mean, I agree with what you said too, because I think it could hit people in a different way. Because this song, I mean, what does Jesus think? You could apply that to uh, many different facets of life. But the one thing that really spoke to me in having a lot of conversations with just fellow believers or just conversations in general with just people that came up through more of a strict upbringing in the church and have like what you would call church hurt. I think that this song, I saw a connection in that. And what I mean by that is, let me preface this by saying, I'm not like condoning like sin, not saying like go out and sin or anything like that. But I've noticed there is a portion of, I don't even want to say the church because I don't know that this particular part of the church. I think that just, I don't know, hearing some stuff going on, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that that's what God intended. But all that to the side, I think there is a portion out there that, they kind of put out there what they think, and they try to say that this is what Jesus thinks or this is what Jesus wants. And what has happened with that is a lot of people have been pushed away from the faith. And I think we forget a lot of times that Jesus, walked around with the tax collectors, the people that were in the bars or the people that were out in the working force, which was like, the fishermen and stuff like that. But there were people that wasn't necessarily were labeled as like religious people then, or that were living the quote unquote right way, right? And I think we forget that. And so this song to me, especially in the chorus, is talking about different things, and I think one line it mentions, is he counting my drinks, that is a whole separate conversation that we could probably have on here one day. But I just think that there's a certain population out there that shuns people away that are seeking God because they had a drink or something, and it's like, God, you're making them feel like God's throwing them away, like that God doesn't want them. And I don't think that's what Jesus thinks. So anyway, that's where I kind of thought about that with that song, kind of connected to me. Chelsea, I guess it's your turn.
So the next song I have, and funny story, funny but not funny. Cameron sends us every week, he sends us the playlist for us to listen to the songs, and this particular song he decided to put as number one. And so I always start at the top and then work my way down. Well, I started listening to him on the way to work, and this song is called Letters to Heaven. And I know I've talked about losing my dad when I did my hidden gem. And, with holidays coming up, I've just kind of struggled lately with missing him. And so Cameron put this song at number one. And by the time I got to work, I'm telling you, I was a blubbering mess. Like I walked into work with like mascara pouring down my face, and my eyes were swollen and red. But I know, this song will probably, hit a lot of people who have, lost loved ones, and especially this time of year, because this time of year is just, it's a hard time of year when you've lost someone you love. But it's called Letters to Heaven, and it's by Consumed by Fire. And I had never heard of them, but on their Spotify, they have almost 400,000 monthly listeners. And their bio says, Soulful Rockers Consumed by Fire is by brothers Caleb Ward and Jordan Ward and Josh Ward. They have never faltered from their childhood dream to tour the world sharing the love of Jesus. Their Red Street Records debut album, First Things First, produced top 10 hits, which reached number 2 on the media-based audience chart, and Walk with Jesus, which reached number 6. After 3 headlining tours and Christmas tour with Blanca, Consumed by Fire spent the first half of 2025 writing and recording their next full-length album, with the latest release dropping just in time for the holidays. During a season that is meant to be filled with joyful family gatherings, the band sings of a longing of loved ones lost with their latest release, Letters to Heaven. Like I said, this song is just kind of about, missing your loved ones and wishing that you could, write them a letter to heaven. There's so many things that you wish you could say. But I just want to there were some lines in it that I want to say. Says, I know it's not goodbye, it's see you soon. That's the promise I'm holding on to. We'll make up the time we've lost forever. We'll sit down and talk about all the things I have written down. In heaven, I won't need a letter. And that's something that, I kind of hold on to. I think sometimes I get lost in the fact that, my dad's gone and I miss him, but I have to remind myself that this is temporary. We living on earth the way it is now, this is temporary, and one day I'm going to get to sit down with them and tell them everything that I have to say now. So
my next one, we talked about it a little bit in the group chat the other day, is Dear Jesus by We the Kingdom. This one really spoke to me. I wrote down here, and I think it may even say it in the song, this is like a message from rock bottom. This is that moment, like, anybody out there that's listening to the podcast, just know, like, if you're in that season of just not knowing where to turn, whether that be you are a believer, or the song is really more geared to the non-believer that's really struggling. It's his sinner's prayer, really, is like what it says in the song. A line in it that I really liked, because I just feel like I've been here before, and I know somebody out there that's listening to this can probably relate. But it says, I took the bait of the devil, I hopped on a wrong way train, hellbound in a hurry until you called my name. And I just wanted you to know, if you're out there listening and you are struggling with something or you are at rock bottom, he's calling your name. And it may be the fact that, maybe listening to this podcast, maybe it's just starting it, like starting a plant a seed or whatever. Like, don't turn away from him. Keep going, dive deeper. Listen to this song. Like, this song for me is just beautiful. And I think we can all probably relate to a time when we've just been broken and we're crying out to Jesus in the way, especially in the way that this song talks about. We the Kingdom doesn't need much of an introduction because a lot of people know them. They are former Dove Award winners, Grammy winners, all that. I think this is the first project, album, or whatever that they've had without Franny Cash as the lead singer. Former member, she's on her solo career now. We've talked about her. We saw her in concert together with Brandon Lake. This is, her family. But she went and, she's doing her solo career. And I don't know if the lead singer, I guess it's still probably some of her family. I don't know if it's her dad or if they went out and got another singer. I'm not sure, because they did have a male singer that was there with her, which I think was her dad, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure on that, but their next project that's coming out the album's titled Dear Jesus, and it comes out in January. So like I said, this song just, for me, a little bit like country feel too. Like, it kind of gave me that impression. But anyway, like I said, if you're at rock bottom, if you're struggling, listen to this song.
I really like that song, and I'm actually really excited for their new album to come out.
Me too. My last one, I think Rusty has the same one, and that is Don't Miss It by Jarvis Campbell. I think I'm saying his first name correctly. I'm not for sure though. He doesn't have a ton in his bio on Spotify, but he's kind of an up and rising kind of guy. When I talk to people about him, I kind of explain him as like a Christian Noah Hohn sort of feel. And I really just like just about everything that he's put out. But I really like this song. It talks about he's kind of like in a midnight drive on his way home. It's snowing out, and he starts thinking about, all of the things in his life. And he's just kind of like, I don't want to miss all of the blessings that you've given me for the busyness in the world. It's kind of the way that I interpreted it. And I just thought that was in this season of life with busy schedules, children. Seems like we're always on the schedule. There's always a ball game. There's always another practice to get to. I don't want to miss all the blessings that God has given us. Like, we have the opportunity to go to practice because God's given us these kids to raise. And, that was really my interpretation of it. What about you, babe?
Pretty much it wrong on the head there. I really like his sound. I had never heard of him before, so that was whenever we were listening to. I think I heard this song going to church Sundays. We were listening to it. I was like, I really like this song. And you hit it perfectly. The meanings. Yeah, I'm gonna check out more of his music.
Side note, I've only sent his music to you like 14,000 times.
Oh, I mean, there's
I
been a
knew
lot of
that was
music that's
coming.
been sent to
Calling him
me.
out, man. You're on the hot seat.
Damn, Miles.
Listen, if she does anything to you right now, it's on camera, so
Yeah.
it's all right. So, okay, I'll go ahead and just wrap it up. My final song I wanted to share, and it's actually probably my favorite one of the whole list, and it was a late ad. I added it, I think, maybe it's Saturday or Sunday, but it's called Get His Good by Southeast Worship. And this is a worship team from Southeast Church in Louisville, Kentucky. This song for me, just to kind of briefly talk on like the season I'm in right now, and Mariah, what you just shared about your all's life, just feeling that busyness, that's kind of where I'm at as well. I feel like just everywhere around me I look, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that, and I've got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say. And for me, trying to pick and choose like what gets my time is hard because I have responsibilities that I need to do, albeit through work or school, and then being blessed to be a part of like just some stuff with the church. It's just a lot, and sometimes I'm like, "Why is it too much?" And then at the same time, though, I feel like God has placed me in these different places like for a reason because I never would have put myself there. Some of the places, because I just never, when I started this journey, I never thought that I would be doing any of that, and I'm just grateful. If it was up to me, I would have probably been like on the sidelines trying to coach somewhere or do something like sports related. So he's got me somewhere else, and I'm just trying to hang on and see what happens. uh, you know, I've got all that going on, and then outside of that, I've got a lot of other just personal things, just family, and just things that we're working on, and it's a lot. Not that I want to share all in here, but I've really struggled a lot here recently. Not with my faith. I felt my faith has just gotten stronger, but it's just being, just feel like I'm overwhelmed. And this song, to me, it'll hit somebody in a different way, I'm sure, just based on your situation, because it can be applied in a lot of ways. But it's just talking about putting your full trust, which is your faith in God and having that. And that's what faith means is, full trust. And so even though you're going through a tough season, even though you're like maybe I'm going through a busy season, it's still relying on Him, put my faith in Him. And just some of the lyrics from the song, it says, "I'll sing through the night until my faith becomes my sight." And I think in a lot of ways, like the sermon that was preached not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before at our church, Pastor Brandon spoke on, I think it was in 2 Kings. And I mentioned this last week on the podcast too, but how I think it was Elijah was being called, he was a prophet and was being called to help with the war efforts. And pretty much like the first thing he said to do was like call the harpist because he wanted to get in a sense of, or in a place of worship and being in God's presence. And then, it went on from there. But that line, like, "I'll sing through the night until my faith becomes my sight," I think that's been me here recently. I just try to maybe go listen to some music and get in God's presence. And I think it helps retool like the way I'm looking at things. And instead of me looking at it through my perspective, it's more like looking at it through faith. And it also says, "I don't know how the story ends, but I know God is going to get His good out of this." And so that's the title of the song, right? It's like, so no matter the situation, know that He's working through you, and He's working, to get His good out of the situation. And sometimes it might not be what you think it is or what you even want, but have faith that it's going to be good for Him. It's going to glorify Him. And so this song for me, like I said, I've had it on repeat all day and all weekend. I love it. So definitely go check it out. If you don't care, just go down through the list and let everybody know all the new songs that came out, and maybe there's one they want to check out that we didn't mention.
Okay. So, All Sufficient Merit by Brian Fowler, Shane and Shane. Begin the Hard Things, we talked about that. Jesus is Love. Sleepless by Matt Crocker and Brooke. Cling to the Cross, Good Woman, Franny Cash. Defying Gravity, Caleb and Kelsey. Don't Miss It, Dear Jesus. God's Timing, King Jesus by Lake Point Music. Thank You by Rachel Nemiroff. Wonder What Jesus Thinks, Never Be Alone. Blessed by Rachel Lampa. 1,000 Words by The Color. Get His Good, Southeast Worship. Know You, and Crown Him by the Worship Initiative.
Out of curiosity, the ones that you just said this name and not the artist, is it because the artist's name was hard?
Some of them, and then some of them, I mean, I mostly skipped the artists on the ones that we had already talked about.
Yeah, I noticed that one. I was
So-
wondering the other ones. I know how hard it is because when I run through them, I'm like, oh goodness, like how do I say that?
That's a
Yeah.
little more intimidating than I thought it would be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, since we've kind of shared our heart on a lot of these new songs and the ones that stuck out to us, and then Chels, she went through the songs that we hadn't like talked about specifically. We are done with that part, and we're going to transition into our 1344 Hidden Gem segment. And this week, our good old buddy here, Rusty, it's his turn. Yeah, he's the last one in the rotation that hasn't shared one yet. I'm super excited to hear it. Me and Rusty have known each other for a very long time, so we have a lot of like the same musical tastes and stuff. So we're going to kick it over to Rusty. He's got the floor.
Yeah. So my hidden gem, is a song called "Undefeated" by a band that is no longer making music or touring. Audio Adrenaline. So I heard this song maybe it's probably 2009. This is back when before Bluetooth, and we still had aux cords, and music wasn't on phones; they were on iPods. So a buddy of ours, his mom and dad, used to drive me back and forth to practice. That's where I heard a lot of, Christian songs that I had never heard before. I knew the big names like Toby Mac, Casting Crowns, but the 1,000 Foot Crutches, Audio Adrenaline, I didn't really know them. And this song, one day they just started playing this song, and it just stuck with me. I remember, as soon as I heard it, I asked my grandma to take me to Food City and get me a iTunes card so I could go buy it and put it on my iPods. But yeah, it's called Undefeated. I'm gonna go through a little bit of the lyrics. They're pretty straightforward. I'll kind of go past the first verse, but I'll go start with the second one. It says, "Trouble always finds me everywhere that I go. A cloud above me like a kite up on a string. Here in the valley I know. There's a mountaintop where I can stand and say, undefeated, we're fighting back with love." And really what the song really, is about is hardships and keeping your faith in Christ, and you're always going to be undefeated. No matter what the battle is, no matter where you are, no matter how dark it gets, keep your faith in Christ. You're not going to lose. It may feel like you're losing, but you always come out on top. That's really what the song, really entails. I hadn't really listened to it a lot over the last couple of years. I absolutely listened to this song all the time when I was a teenager. I started thinking that, what is a hidden gem for me? Because you, Cameron, you knew more, a lot more artists than I did when we were growing up, and you had more Christian CDs, so I feel like you had a better, idea of what a hidden gem would be. But then I started thinking, this song came to mind, and then I listened to it, and I was like, man, that song really resonates more now than ever. I feel like the older you get, the steeper the climb sometimes, can be. And if you keep your faith in Christ, you're not gonna lose. So yeah, that's my spiel on Undefeated by Audio Adrenaline.
I love it, and you're right. Like growing up, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I found that I like listening to, I feel like I probably like push it on YouTube because we were always just hanging out together, sharing music together. I do remember having that big CD case of nothing but like CDs of like older Christian music. I think I even let you borrow it a time or two, maybe, like just to listen to the songs and stuff like that. But I told you earlier, I actually had not heard that song. I did know who Audio Adrenaline was, and maybe I had heard it, but I just didn't remember it. I definitely hadn't heard it that much. Like it didn't, stick with me. But it's not for the lack of the content. Like the content is really good, and the song's good, the lyrics are good, and it gives you that nostalgic sound. Like it just brings you back to like those mid 2000s. It just there's a little bit of happiness there when I hear like just like that. I don't know, like that genre. It kind of just a certain vibe, I guess. So yeah, a great song, and man, like what would have been cool. And I don't know a whole lot about the backstory of Audio Adrenaline, why they split or why they quit or whatever. But it'd been cool to have brought them back for Winter Jam this year, since we're doing like a throwback.
Maybe they were at a Winter Jam years ago. I don't know, but I feel like I've seen them before because they were one of the bigger bands back in, like, when we were teenagers. They were pretty popular, I remember.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, their buddy Christian, if he's out here listening to this, he's the guy that you're talking about, or the friend you're talking about, right? Yeah, and I remember I think they went to their last concert, or well, it wasn't necessarily their last concert, but it was a concert on their farewell tour. And if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to reach out to him. But I think Switchfoot was with them, and that would have been a great concert between them two. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I liked it too because it's a little bit more upbeat. And I was thinking the other day that a lot of our songs on Hidden Gem are some, and not that it's a bad thing, they're some really like deep songs. A lot of them are kind of slower because they just, I don't know, like sometimes like those songs, especially in like the deep cuts, like stuff like that's not singles, like some of those songs stick out to us. But I'm glad we also got one that's a little bit more upbeat to kind of throw in there too. So just like I said, beautiful song, especially for the new believers out there or the new seekers of Christian music. Audio Adrenaline's not one that you're going to hear a new song of, right? So go listen to this song, Undefeated, and also listen to some of their other stuff. They've got tons of great music. I was sitting there trying to think. I think two, and I won't talk about them, but Leaving 99 and Ocean Floor was like two that really sticks out to me when I think of Audio Adrenaline. But we're gonna finish this up, and we're gonna kind of talk about some things that we're thankful for in the spirit of Thanksgiving, and then also maybe talk a little bit about our favorite dish. Before we get into that, though, we put it out on Facebook today for people to kind of throw out there maybe a song that helped them get into God's presence, just in the spirit of thankfulness. What's a song that might do that? And also like what they're thankful for and maybe like their favorite meal. And so I put on the video there that we would even try to share it tonight. And as of before this recording, I screenshotted it, and there was, I think, a few that had shared. And so I sent it to Chelsea, and that way she can read it off and share that just as a cool way to let guys know that we do hear you, we see your comments, and we like to have that interaction. We like to share it on here.
So one more ministry, which is Coy Witt, he commented and he said that a couple of his favorite songs are for the spirit of Thanksgiving is Made for More, Nobody by Casting Crowns, Matthew West, Gobble Gobble is the greatest Thanksgiving song.
Well, I
And
want to stop you there for a second. Have y'all heard that?
no.
Okay, whenever we get off this podcast, you guys need to listen to that. Rusty and Mariah, you can ask your kids about it because the music teacher at school has been playing it like every day for like a week or so. And the video is pretty funny too. But anyway, go ahead.
And then Shauna Hess commented and said, Mighty Name of Jesus by Hope Doris. I'm probably just butchered that. She says that I'm thankful for my husband who leads our household the way God intended. I'm thankful to have two beautiful, happy, healthy kids. And my go-to dish is anything sweet and ham. So yeah, that's what we got on Facebook. And then I commented on there, and I'll just go ahead and share mine. My favorite song, just to kind of get in the moment of gratitude, is There Was Jesus by Kane. And that's always just been one of those songs that just, I don't know what it is about it. It's not like a powerhouse of a song or anything, but it's just one of those songs that just is so overwhelming and shows the love of Jesus, and it literally brings me to tears almost every time I hear it.
You were asking me earlier, what did you come up with? Your song.
Good God Almighty by Crowder was a song that I like that song. Coy actually, I didn't even think about Nobody by Casting Crowns. That's an incredible song.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot. I think of another one, Revelation by Third Day. It's my favorite band, so I've got to throw them out there. I don't talk about them enough.
I like Nobody too. In spirit of thankfulness, I like, of course, gratitude gets me really in the mindset of like being thankful. And I was trying to think. I remember that there was this song whenever I was pregnant with Mason, I don't remember, like, I remember that it was about this man and he was talking about his children and his wife and, how he was thankful for those things. And I cannot for the life of me, like, I've looked it up and Googled and everything, and I cannot find this song. Maybe it was a dream and maybe it was like me just being thankful for Mason and, but I wish I could find that song. I'm gonna have to go on a deep dive. I wish I could think of it though, because the thing that I'm most thankful for is, of course, like my salvation and for Jesus, but then for my sweet Rusty and our kids and our good family. That's definitely what I am most thankful for. And I think that I'm going to be one of them over here has been dying to pop on and say hello.
Yeah, look at the
Say,
camera.
say hi. You
It's
take
just
your
shy
little,
now.
she's been cutting us some cutlery for Thanksgiving. So she did a really good job. She's got our spoon and our fork and our knife here. So she's ready.
Wait to eat turkey with that.
I
Yes.
like that. That's good.
I think my favorite dish, man, that's such a hard one for me. Probably unless Shauna, ham is my favorite. I love some good ham.
Ham.
No, McDonald's.
Say,
Oh,
well,
mac
you
and
know
cheese is
what?
good.
I have favorite dishes like ham, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese. And Mariah's going to disagree with me because she's already disagreed with me once on this. But I think the best dessert is banana pudding for Thanksgiving. She doesn't think that's a Thanksgiving. She doesn't think that's a Thanksgiving dish.
When I think of Thanksgiving desserts, I
Yeah.
think about like warm pumpkin pie, pecan pie, like I don't know. Like that. Now, my cousin
Yeah.
and his wife make a mean banana pudding, don't get me wrong. But like I'm talking about like for desserts, I just think of pumpkin-y, warm type of things.
Yeah, it's not the typical one that I think of, but any opportunity to get banana pudding is a good it's a good day because that's one of my favorite desserts too.
Yeah.
I like my favorite dish is sweet potato casserole,
Yeah.
and I love smoked turkey with gravy. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that was going to be one of mine. The smoked turkey. I think it's king. I do like ham though, but I feel like if you can get a good smoked turkey, that's the main course. And then the ham, the mac and cheese, all of that is just the additional. I do like I said, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. I love all that. I'm trying to think of some others. I don't know, but those are the ones that stick out to me the most. In the mindset of like the song part, I actually didn't write one down, and I'm the one that kind of put the question out there. But I was thinking about one, and I listen to it every now and then. It comes on. I have like a playlist just for me. It's like a Christian acoustic playlist, and it just sometimes I just need something like calming. And this song, I mean, I think they have it in like like a more of a worship style too. But it's called "This Is How I Thank the Lord" by MSC. Mosaic MSC. So this is how I thank the Lord, and it just details that, right? It's just a song about being thankful, and in the song it's like a message to God, and it's this is how I thank the Lord, and it goes in saying this is how I thank the Lord for saving me, and then it keeps going, right? It throws out the list of things that she's thankful for, and so that song kind of gets me in a good place of thankfulness. I think Mariah mentioned it before in another episode, but a good way just to get in God's presence is to thank Him. And I'm sure with any of these songs, sometimes it's nice to just take a deep breath, close your eyes, maybe turn on one of those songs, especially if you have some headphones, because sometimes life gets crazy and things get loud. Throw on some headphones and just breathe for a second and thank Him for everything that He's given us, and ultimately you thank Him for their salvation, like Mariah had mentioned, because that's it, right? I mean, that's the big thing. Everything else falls under that. As far as like my life or our life, things that I'm thankful for. I thought about just kind of like saying thankful for my family, for, the house, and while I am thankful for those things, I was trying to think of something specific here recently that I'm more. I don't know. I'm just intently like thankful for, and this week I've had a few things, and in terms of like my family, we were going to a friend's house the other night to do some ornament decorating, and my oldest one is getting ready to turn 11, and as anybody knows, with kids around that age, they're just sometimes more concerned with playing the games and not just playing the games. I mean, he likes to play sports and stuff like that. So ornament decorating is probably not something that would be at the top of his list. He was nervous about going, and even when we got there, with my little one, he running around, just raising Cain and causing havoc. Amidst all that, our oldest one was like, "Hey, I actually really liked this," and he went and he made like 4 or 5 ornaments. He had a story that went with all of them. It was very creative, and he just, I don't know, it's just an interesting side of him because, like I said, he loves what we all love when we were kids, like the games and all of that, and for him to like take a second and to enjoy that and to think through those things and then to share them and be proud of the thing that he created and shared. It was cool, and I was glad that he got a chance to be in that environment of like just some loving friends and their family. And then with my youngest one, of course, everybody that knows us knows that he's speech delayed and he struggles with talking, and it just seems like here recently in the last 2 or 3 weeks he's been taking off with like saying words and speaking in sentences. Sometimes it's him shaking his fist at you and ready to fight, but it's just, I don't know, it's something to be very thankful for. And then even with me and Chelsea, like, just like y'all had touched on how busy life gets with ball games and everything else. This week we were able to just sit down and watch Elf, a Christmas classic, right there next to Die Hard. It's something. Elf is just a great movie, but we were able to take some time, just me and her, sit down and watch it all the way through. And I can't tell you the last time me and her have sat and watched a movie together because we're just, always so busy. And so I'm just thankful for that. But yes, ultimately though, above all else, I'm thankful for Jesus and thankful for my salvation and thankful for God allowing us to be on this platform together and getting to talk about all this. It's awesome. And I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving this week. And so I'm sure we're able to take this mindset that we have of thankfulness and take it into kitchens and dining rooms and, rooms that we may be in this week and conversations that we may have. But that's all I got, guys. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to say before we get off here.
I think you've covered it well.
Well, like I said, I appreciate everybody for getting on tonight. Anybody that tuned in to listen, thank you. I mentioned it last week, but crazy amount of support for Coy Witt's episode. Professional boxer, he was on there sharing his backstory, his career, along with his boxing club and the ministry that it is with the youth in this area. So I just wanted to plug that in there because it has done great. And it's been really cool to see it get his gym out there and people were able to hear a side of him that they may not have known. And also giving these kids some recognition because, in the episode we were able to share just some of their experience with it and stuff and give them a little bit of spotlight. So I just want to thank you guys for the support that you all put on that. Going forward, we're going to continue with these week-to-week music episodes, but we do have some guests lined up in December, ones that we were very excited about. But if you made it to the end and you're listening to me during this, if you have somebody else that you want to see on the show, text us or message us, let us know through any of our socials. If you know us personally, just get in contact with us. But we're just praying that, God leads us where he wants to as far as like with the guests and stuff. But yeah, just stay tuned for that and more of the music episodes and just, the whole like, share, and subscribe, guys. It helps us out and we appreciate all the support. So till next time.